Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I am a big fan of other YouTubers, and I watch every video of theirs because I'm kind of obsessed with this hunt, and I have been for a while. But, anyways, I watch some of the different topics they talk about, and, you know, I kind of want to bring up some of my thoughts on what they talk about also. Whether I agree or disagree, kind of give you my idea of it. This is going to be a short book or a short video, but I kind of want to just talk about my thoughts, and I'm not going to really dive too deep, just kind of my opinion about some things. I will use the book a little bit, but kind of want to just bring up some interesting stuff. Um, the chapter Sweet Fragrances was brought up about, him going through all the spices and stuff like that and tasting them and all that good stuff. But the biggest thing that people get out of that is, he has 3 bottles of cloves. Who would need all those cloves? Well, this is kind of just something that popped up in my brain, and I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't know if I'm right or not. But there's a talk of why cloves? Why 3 times? That's really weird, right? Well, at the end he says, who needs all those cloves? Who would need 3 bottles? Well, kind of just something popped up in my brain is his Clovis. He has the Fenn cache is the biggest Clovis point collection ever. And he acquired these through this guy. He bought them from this guy, and the community, the archaeological community, hated it because they don't like stuff like that. For one, they kind of lose the history of where it came from, so that so they can gain the information and stuff like that. But they also don't like private collectors or private landowners, for that matter. They just don't. Um, they in the article that's on the Old Santa Fe Trading Co.com, in the article, The Mother of Indiana Jones, um, he writes about that, how there was this conference and he was going to be a speaker, and that kind of divided them because they don't really like him. They don't like what he's doing, and the United States is one of the only um, countries that allow private landowners to have rights of the archaeological stuff. So, anyways, just kind of a background. But with the Finn cache, a lot of people really disliked him for having this. I mean, they really did. So, isn't I wouldn't it be funny if he's bragging about who would need all those bottles of cloves, as in a hint of who would need all those Clovis points? You know, kind of a dig at the archaeological community. But that's just something that popped up in my brain. I'm sure a lot of people have different ideas about the Cloves clue, if you should even call it that. But little a little thing that I caught also that I haven't really um, heard anyone talk about is on page 15, the allspice segment. And it reads, it's made from the berries of evergreen trees, but it smells a little like cloves. I don't dare taste it. When the label suggested that I put it on squash, that was enough for me. I screwed the green lid on, I screwed the green lid on that jar and hid it at the bottom of the pile. Now, let's go back to the thrill of the chase in the chapter First Grade. So he says, sometimes John Charles would bring a little jar of green olives to school and wave that thing in my face. Can you imagine that? It was one of those long, thin jars with a green lid, and the olives looked like they were placed in there one at a time. Okay? So, in Once Upon a While, he says, I screwed the green lid back on and hid it at the bottom of the pile. And then the chapter first grave, there was a long, thin jar with a green lid. Okay? So we all know that Fenn had, he put his autobiography in an olive jar in the treasure chest. And then he sealed the lid, and, so moisture couldn't get in and stuff like that. But here's another hint in Once Upon a While about his olive jar. But what else is interesting about this? What else is interesting is that he said he hid it at the bottom of the pile. Now, could that mean he hid it in the bottom of the treasure chest under everything? It could. But another thing that Finn Treasure Hunters brought up, and I love the video, and I full-heartedly agree about the different things in each of the books as far as the pile of rocks. Now, there might be a mark on a tree, because in the poem it goes, if you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down. So, just thinking about that, you would imagine that the blaze is somewhere eye level, maybe a little higher, lower, but it's something you look and then you can look straight down on, which marks where the treasure chest is. And I know people have differencing of opinions on that, but just to me it seems logical that the blaze would be a little higher in elevation than the ground. So maybe there's something that's marking the pile of rocks, I don't know. But I do think that there's a pile of rocks, or a grave or a flat rock that the treasure chest is hidden under. And if you haven't checked out Finn Treasure Hunter's video, check it out. It's really good. But I wanted to bring up another quote that I thought was interesting that's in Once Upon a While too, that kind of furthers that. And also furthers another one of my opinions about how far is too far to walk. So on page 84, Forrest is talking about looking for this grave. So he says, 95 years later, I was stationed in Lubbock, Texas, and my friend by the name of Bill Griggs and I searched relentlessly for the trooper's grave. The evidence showed it to be somewhere about 46 miles north of where I lived. Well, my too far to walk is roughly 50 miles, and that could be plus or minus a little bit, but just interesting, 46 miles north, and my taking in the canyon down is northwest. So I thought that was interesting. I don't think I brought that up in the other videos, but he says that we were ever watchful for the errant pile of rocks that were deliberately placed to keep scavenging animals from digging. Well, he talks about piles of rocks quite a bit, like in the third chapter about placing rocks on the grave and stuff like that. And there's a whole bunch of different places that kind of hint to that, where a flat rock or something that is on top of the chest. So he was ever watchful for these pile of rocks. You got rocks and graves and stuff like that. So I just thought that was kind of interesting, that I kind of want to just touch on those videos. But that's about all I've got for this one. I just thought those were a few interesting things that I might bring up, just to make a quick video about that and get some discussion going on that. So let me know what you think, guys. I'll be making a video here in the next few days or something like that. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.